Welcome to the Hawks Nest live stream show. My name is Brandon Kane, and we're coming back at you here on a wonderful Wednesday. Why? Not just because we're going to get to break down an awesome player for your Seahawks up on the rise, one we saw not coming at all, but also because later on today we're going to be unveiling the schedule live here on the channel, looking at it blow by blow. But first things first, we got to appreciate the unappreciated. We got to take notice of what people aren't noticing. And that is that Tyrice Knight, your weak side linebacker last year, sometimes kicked into middle linebacker with Mike McDonald's defense. You know, you got to do a lot of things. Got to do a lot of things, baby. You got to go left, right, over here, over there. You know, sometimes you might even have to cover a wide receiver as an inside linebacker. But when it's all said and done, when you shake it all out in the wash, when it comes down to Tyrice Knight last year, the 4th round pick out of UTEP, the UTEP two-step, the new UTEP two-step, is that he had the best rookie year for a weak side inside linebacker, and I know that's specific, of any Seattle Seahawk going back all the way to Leroy Hill. Yeah, it's even my belief here that he had a better rookie year than the solid rookie campaign for KJ Wright back in 2011. Tyrice Knight last year was a little slow to get ascending to the starting role, of course, because you had gotten your 2 free agents in the offseason, being that you'd gotten Tyrell Dodson and Baker in here to be your 2 starters. So he had to kind of a little bit wait his turn. But once he was finally kind of injecting the lineup, and especially once Ernest Jones came aboard for the team, those guys were just thunder and lightning, peanut butter and jelly. They were there side by side, working like on a string. It was like these guys had been together for a couple of years in their just ability to be in sync and how they played the run. And of course, that was the big thing that took a big step forward throughout the year with the linebacker play improving, was that the run defense really went from being really awful to getting really solid, really fast with those 2 guys. I've got a lot of clips today that I want to show you in regards to really trying to get an appreciation for Tyrice Knight's game, because what I want to show today is that this is not a one-trick pony. This is not a guy with just sort of seemingly one super skill that he leans on and then gets all the productivity out of his game. This is a guy with a wide variety of skills that he brings into play here, and he showed it out on the football last year, which just gets me so very hyped up for his upside and where he could be going as a player. Not to mention, of course, he fits in this defense so very fluidly with all the variety of things that he can do. But that's why I wanted to mention this, going back to a Leroy Hill and looking at his season with this, because it's an appreciation thing where you go, look, if it's been 20 years since you've gotten this kind of play and he's giving you this kind of play right out the gate, it's probably a good harbinger for the fact that this guy's going to go on to have a very good career. And when you look at those other 2 guys that I mentioned, Leroy Hill and KJ Wright, the 2 guys who had, you know, near equivalency kind of rookie years. Leroy had a better rookie year because he was just an insane blitzer in his rookie season. I'm going to show you the stats on that in a second. But what does stand out with both of those 2 players, in KJ Wright and Leroy Hill, is that they both went on to have really good careers. KJ Wright, over almost 1,000 tackles, right? He was really good for your Seattle Seahawks here. Then you had Leroy Hill, who, wasn't as long here, but himself put up 500 tackles in his career, was a dynamic blitzer, a really good hitter as well. So probably good. Probably a little bit of a predictor there in regards to that. And when we're going to look here at Tyrice Knight's game, first things first off the jump, we're going to look a little bit at some of the ratings of the tackle numbers and where he was at, and then give you a little bit of a comparison here to Leroy Hill and KJ Wright seasons to give you a little bit of understanding of that. Now, when you get between PFF, which is the bottom deal here, versus when you get to, the typical stat tracker on this, there's going to be a little bit of differentiation in how, they totally see all that goes. The tackle numbers are a little bit different between PFF and this. So that's why I wanted to post both of these 2. But the 65 grade is a pretty good one here for KJ Wright, to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of where, or not KJ Wright, but for Tyrice Knight, to give you an understanding with Tyrice Knight. And 1 second here. Here he is ranked as the 41st linebacker here in football. You got him right there at 41 between Troy Dye and Eric Wilson, but not in bad company as well, as there's some solid names in around him. Roquan Smith in there. You see Tyrell Dodson ended up actually able to get to Miami and up his overall grade decently going, but over Micah McFadden, a solid linebacker there for the Giants. Ivan Pace is a good linebacker for Minnesota. Even above Cody Barton, Nick Bolton, good linebacker. So he's in pretty good company as far as his rank last year, even though 65 grade is not going to light the world on fire, and it's not a grade where you go, okay, that's a dominating effort on his part. it still is very solid. And he gets a couple sacks in there. You can see his pass rush productivity is pretty good as far as how his rating goes with that. His missed tackle percentage down at 6.7% is pretty good. That's so he's a pretty legitimate tackler. You're going to feel that on tape on some of the snaps I'm going to show you today, that when you have him in space, he's going to wrap up more often than not. Fairly okay in coverage too. 35 receptions allowed on 46 targets for 296 yards. That's not awful, especially when you consider we've had guys like Jordan Brooks in here almost allowing 1,000 yards from the weak side linebacker position in some years, to give you some perspective on that. Only allowed 1 touchdown, had a PBU. You can see here, just kind of some of his usage there. There's not a lot to be said from that other. He got 41 snaps there out of the slot, which does kind of stand out to me because I am going to show you a couple of cut-ups of him actually covering wide receivers, covering dynamic wide receivers, and covering them well. All of that on top of that. So overall, solid numbers here for him, as you saw. He wasn't a top 10 rated guy, but this for a rookie and pulling this kind of grade in, a little bit above average across the board, solid across the board, no glaring weakness across the board is, I think, something you can take from some of these numbers and grades on that. As I said, when looking at the comparison on this, first guy up here that I'm going to show you, we'll go to KJ Wright here, where KJ Wright 2011 had that 16 games played, 65 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. We can probably get into a little bit of disagreement as to which is the better season overall on this. I think it's worth considering that you got in Tyrice Knight 88 tackles, way more tackles total, or 21 more tackles total, and he also wasn't able to play in all these games. He only started, according to the numbers on this, 12 games this season. So had to come off the bench to kind of produce some of the productivity he did do to wait his turn, where KJ just got to be kind of inserted and allowed to go and, let it rip, buddy, so to speak. The guy who did have probably a little bit of a more solid rookie campaign, I would say here, than KJ Wright would have been Leroy Hill. 72 total tackles in 15 games started. He also had 7.5 sacks. Absolutely phenomenal blitzer was Leroy Hill. So good with that. And boy, when you had him and Lofa Tatupu side by side, those guys were such a great combination. But that was the 2005 year your Seattle Seahawks went to a Super Bowl. To put that in perspective for the impact that kind of year brought from Leroy Hill's perspective. But you can see that this has been almost 20 years. And it has helped, of course, that you've got a guy in KJ Wright that started here, almost 10 seasons just about at that linebacker position. So you didn't have a lot of rookies rolling through there during that time. Still, before he came and after he's left, you haven't been able to bring a guy to that level of bear, with the exception here of Tyrice Knight. So kind of cool that it's been 20 years since we've gotten this kind of productivity. I'll tell you, too, the will linebacker position still does remain one that is not well appreciated in the NFL. It's one where there's still a lot of room for, I think, as we see some positions get elevated and get more claim to fame because of the way that the game's adjusting with how schemes roll. You see with the will linebacker that it is really one that the NFL just doesn't understand how to appreciate. You get an edge, you've got sacks. You get a middle linebacker, you got tackles. But with weak side linebackers, they don't tend to get the kind of tackle numbers that Mikes get. They don't get the kind of sack numbers that the edges get. They're asked to do everything all over the field. A lot of times they're isolated in space, having to take on these dynamic tight ends and cover them up and try to cover them well and stay and run with them. And as you look in the NFL, as I've said over the last 30 years, you've only had one weak side linebacker that has made it into the Hall of Fame. That's Derrick Brooks. Other than that, it's only been middle linebackers or guys that are edge. So there's a little bit of a hole, I would say, in the NFL's game in this, just, in general terms, in their ability to kind of figure out how these guys are good and what they are good. And that's why I wanted to show you some of this tape a little bit more expansively today. I've got a variety of cut-ups I want to show you guys because I want to really be able to show off that you can feel the impact of this guy. That let's not just get caught up on the statistic stuff. I think Knight brought that to bear in itself, but that there's more to it here and diving into the tape, where this is where we always want to try to pair the tape to the statistics to get the full idea of what you have in this player and where he's going and where his upside lands. And I think it's really true and legit. So without further ado, let's get into this. Let's take a look at some of these snaps. And the place I want to begin at with him, and the place that stands out, but is, again, I don't want to put it like, well, this is all he kind of does, or this is whoever he is that in Tyrice Knight, you're getting a grade A run defender. He is absolutely, when watching the tape and going back to prepare for this show, really what stood out to me time and time again is that this guy getting off blocks, This guy being able to keep his eyes where the ball carrier is at continually showed up over and over again. And it's just a play like this, where you have a guy scraping down to the second level, doesn't even really get his hands on him, falls to his knees, does the climbing, basically tight end there. And he's able to just swing right around it. Swings right around it effortlessly, right in on the tackle. I'm going to show you a couple of these kind of snaps here with 48. But that's a lot harder than it looks. To almost get a full whiff from the tight end that's not easy. And it speaks to his ability a little bit as a player with that. Another one here against New England early on in the season. I'll give you guys the highlighter here so you guys can kind of see this prior to the snap where he's at. Get him right there. Put this over here so I can do this right. So nice flow here. Just like I talked about a second ago, he's got the climber getting down to him on the second level. Easily gets off of that, but then is also, it's a two, I kind of call him a 2-for-1 player where he can kind of do two things at once and do it fluidly as a player, which really does make Tyrice stand out because he's flowing to the right here. The block's taking him to the right here, but he inherently can just feel the cutback. Like, see where the cutback's going there? But then watch how he just instantly feels it go back the other way. Just such a nice play from so many different, first get off the block, then reroute, get back on the ball carrier, stop it for a 2-yard gain. And I think this is Ramondre Stevenson, who's not the easiest cat to pull down. He's a little bit of a bigger back in how he's built. But this kind of stuff just easily, fluidly, seamlessly. Your momentum's taking you all this way. All that lineman's got to do is kind of tap you to get you that way. But he just picks up that cutback instantaneous. Figures it out right where it's at. Run it a couple more times here, you can see it. This is beautiful stuff, and it's not easy stuff. Our linebackers earlier in the year were just getting stuck on these kind of blocks over and over again. And the small difference between getting on that, stuck on that block, getting off, and then also going and finding the ball carrier. Got against Chicago later on in the year here. Almost operating a little bit like, they got the mic over on the strong side there with Jones. This is where it gets hard to sometimes always tell in Mike McDonald's defense who's the Will and who's the Mike. It's almost lined up as a Mike here. But same thing I've been showing you, right? Same exact thing. Center comes down, disengages the center. The center ends up on his knees. You've done a good job of disengaging the block if the blocker's on his knees and still in on the play. Just rugged. Hard to move, hard to physically control in any way. And this stuff's just all over the tape with him. And this is the stuff that just gets me so excited when you go into the future with him, because if he's got this right out the bag, what happens when this just keeps developing further and gets better and better and better? Here you can feel the string between Ernest Jones and Tyrice Knight. This is really a gap responsibility type defense with the defenders. You have a gap you're responsible for as linebackers. Defensive linemen have gaps they're responsible for and that they've got to keep clean. And so here, watching Ernest Jones and Tyrice Knight, see how they're just on a string, one gap to the next where that running back is at. Jones kind of gets it to the front. Tyrese is right behind him to clean it up. So Jones forced defender. Running back tries to kind of bounce a little bit to his left off of feeling Jones there in the hole. And then there's Tyrice Knight to go make the play. Again, here, just a couple things you feel from here is, I've said he does multiple things on one play at once that are really good. You can find oftentimes 2-3 things that I can point out that I don't have to look very hard at to see what he's doing that really is noticeable. He's on the far side of this scheme here from the play where it's going outside. He just effortlessly gets around the block. Look at how he just gets right around that block here, untouched, and then brings a little bit of hit. I've got some cut-ups. There was no player on this defense last year that has more hits. More when I arrive with bad intentions, you're going to feel me. And here you get him off the block, you get the hustle, and then you get the finish. Just 3 things in kind of one there, running full speed the whole way. He's not trying to get in around the play. He's not making business decisions. He wants to go make the play. He wants to go get in on it. And that hustle is just all over his tape. All over it. We got him here. Lined out is the Will. Going to come up again. Make a nice play. I mean, he's not even, as you watch him here, the tight end comes, it's actually a running back. Look at how he is just not worried in the least about number 30 coming down blocking him. He's got no issues at all with this guy. Like, he's in on the play on Josh Jacobs the whole way. He doesn't even use his hands to disengage the block. He just eats the block. He just knows the guy's not big enough to move him. So he just kind of eats it and then makes the tackle. He's a little bit of a bigger linebacker for the position. Makes it a little bit harder. A little bit harder here. Here we go. We got him again here lined up against the Packers. Gets off the block, gets back in the play. As much as just getting off the block, I want to show you on this one, 71. Look at 71. He just dumps his ass. I mean, and it's not like he's like, this isn't a vicious walking up like Cam Chancellor did to the Cardinal tackle at one time and just have a running start. This is just him flipping him. Just it almost looks like he barely hits him, but that's just effortless power right there. You get a guy moving and you hit him right, you can knock him off his feet. But that's that kind of power I feel like you kind of feel from him all over the place. Whether it's getting off the blocks or coming in to make the tackle, he's just solid. Just solidly built. Good instincts here. He's kind of going to be up off the edge here, so you can't see him. He's going to be just off screen here to start this off. Good eyes in the backfield. He's attacking this play from the jump. As you see it, look at how he comes down to attack the play. Doesn't get caught on the inside. See how he could have gotten caught to the inside shoulder of Draymond there? I think that's Draymond. You get caught to the inside shoulder, this running back bounces it outside, you're in trouble. But has the wherewithal to make sure that he keeps himself clean with the outside leverage. Because his job here is the force defender, and boy, not a good rep there by Fant. You just look at by Draymond. Yikes, Draymond. Yikes. You are not a power edge, my man. But he gets back out to the outside here and swallows him up. Keeps that outside leverage there. Smart player, smart instincts, good awareness. Some linebackers can get trapped. I'm telling you, I watched Tyrell Dodson and Baker over and over last year on those kind of plays, get sucked inside and stuck inside. Again, the great instincts here. Knows right where this run play is going. Not fooled in the least. Moving in the right direction. Just post-snap. That's one of the main things that Mike McDonald talked about with Tyrice Knight that stood out to him as a player, is that he's moving in the right direction post-snap. You're not seeing him fooled a lot or going in that wrong direction. Comes up, makes the play. Some of these are, better plays than others, but it just shows he's technically on it. Good quickness, good shuffle in short spaces here. Able to dance around the climbing offensive lineman that's there to get the block on him. Another one of those just gets right around it effortlessly. Makes it look a lot easier than it is. Lyman thinks he's got him dead to rights here. You're looking at number 6, the center here, 66, I think that is. And tries to get in. Nope. Right in on the play. Kind of, the center gets caught too much on trying to deal with Leonard Williams and doesn't have enough left over there to go get Knight. But Knight, good solid tackle. That's Braylon Allen. That's another one of those big running backs that's a lot harder to tackle than they look. Couple more run plays I want to show you here. Wide receiver comes down to try to block him. No wide receivers blocking this guy. I don't think even a tight end's really going to have much luck against him. The only thing you can do is hopefully run an offensive lineman at him and get him on it. There's no chance there. Slides right around the block. This is the Cardinals' bread and butter. This is their gap scheme. We took a lot of that with what we did with Charbonnet last year. You pull a lot of guys back across the formation. You're throwing a pile of bodies at the defense. You see the two guys pulling? So you got 84, and then you got your left guard pulling here. You're trying to get a pile of bodies in one motion here, and then let Connor just roll behind it. And he's right there. So nicely done. I think you guys are getting basically the general gist here when it comes to him as a run defender. Instincts are just on it. How about when he's getting held? Can he still go and make the play when he's getting held? Is that possible? Most players get held, they're neutralized, right? They're stuck. It's not my fault, coach. The official didn't call the hold. How can you blame me? How can you give me a negative grade for that, coach? That's not my fault. Oh, yeah? Well, in Tyrice Knight's world, he still goes makes that tackle. Look at this guy. Watch Tyrice Knight there. I marked him out. Watch what 68 does here. Watch this. Look at those hands. Look at those hands. He's trying to pull his jersey off. He's trying to pull his jersey off, and he's going to do that old dude move you do to little kids, blow in the belly. He's trying to do that to him. But look at KJ. Tyrese still, it keeps calling him KJ. Tyrese gets right off the block here and still goes and makes the play while he's being held. That's not a quasi hold. That's a blatant hold by 68 right there. But still turns around and finds the ball carrier. Tell me this isn't a guy that wants to go make a play. Tell me you want an example of tape of a guy that's not just happy to be there. That's just collecting a paycheck. There you go. Very easy to come back to the coach on this kind of play and be like, look, he was tearing my jersey almost off, coach. What do you want me to do? The official's got to call that. Not him. He'll still go make the play. Still go make it happen. So I think you guys got a basic idea here with what he's bringing to the run game. Instincts, getting off blocks, ability to keep his eyes up while he's still being blocked like you see on a play like this, where he doesn't have to look at, Bobby had this innate ability as well, where you don't always have to be looking at the blocker that you're trying to disengage. You can feel his block, you can disengage with the block, and then you can still keep his eyes on the ball carrier. It's so much of an easier said than done kind of proposition, but he makes it look so easy time and time again on these cuts. Second level climbers right there. Just has a nice steadied arm to keep him off of him a little bit there. See that? Little steady arm there. So the arm comes out. I got you in control. I've got the leverage right here. My guys in Hankins and Dotson have this covered to the backside. Jerron Reed's got this really well defended by the Hawks here. All five defenders, including Hall, doing what they're supposed to be doing here. And then go make the play. But doesn't have to really worry about that climber at all. Not concerned with him in the least. Look at that. Just doesn't even have to put an arm on him. I just need to keep you back enough here so I can go make that play. Just stay off me just enough. Great play by the guy. Great play by him. All right, let's show you a little bit of the coverage stuff. Just keep getting you guys excited on this. And the coverage stuff doesn't take any kind of real step back here. Maybe you could say the best of what he does is going to be as a run defender, but it's not to say that he can't do some things in coverage as well. This obviously isn't in coverages, it's more of showing him as let me get to the coverage stuff actually, huh? That was the blitzer. I was getting a little ahead of myself here. So here we have him in coverage. This will be a little bit hard to see, but what I want you to do on this one when you're looking at his drop here, watch Kyler Murray's eyes. Because what Kyler Murray's looking at here is right where Tyrice Knight's dropping into coverage. And he's taking it right away. So watch Kyler. Eyes look there for a second. See, he's looking there for a second. Feels the drop. Goes back the other way. Incomplete pass. It's a little small drop here, but just taking away the initial read. There's some better coverage stamp I've got here for him, but usually in the smart place. This is another one where he is going to be... the TJ Hawkinson coverage play here. So we got him weak side up. He's got to take TJ Hawkinson on a crossing route. Hawkinson really fast for a tight end. And just does a good job of carrying him up all the way up the field here. Till Darnold realizes he's not open. He's got to go to the backside, does Darnold. So he goes and takes the little outlet throw there. Good job of pressure on the play by the Hawks. Here again, nicely done. This is a concept where there's a little bit of a flood zone concept going on here. So there's some receivers running off screen to the right of Knight. They're trying to kind of run him off and run him out of the zone a little bit here and then bring the running back underneath. And he doesn't buy it. He initially takes the drop, as you can see here. He's taking the drop to the tight end and pulling to him a little bit, but then comes back on and climbs back up on the running back. Very, very short gain here. Good job by Ernest Jones as well. It's basically technically Ernest Jones' responsibility. Knight's probably got to be taking care of the stuff out there on the right, but Knight comes back in there to come help make the play. Smart instinct play. And again, this is where flood zone concepts, we've seen a lot of linebackers in recent history here in the old defense. Guys like McVay would just attack it all day long. Run the guy out of the space, run a guy behind him, the defender you run out of the space, and it will work time and time again. Hustle here is just what stands out to me on this coverage snap. Is anything, it's a throw to the flat. But look, watch just how much space this guy covers. I love this because this just shows me about how much a guy loves the game, how much he's really in on what he's trying to do. And if you get 11 guys on the field that are going to play like this, they're going to run this hard to the spot. I mean, that's a 20, 25-yard run to get over there and lay that hit. The effort's just great. I love these kind of snaps. Because you see his initial coverage is going to be to the middle of the field. McCaffrey's not really his responsibility on this play. But he handles it. Again, here against the Niners in coverage. Good deep drop. He's going to rally up and make the play. You got him right there, kind of center of your screen there, 48. I'll highlight these each place so you can kind of see what's happening. You can see that he's even pointing to his guy. You got that out over there. So Witherspoon a little bit slow. See, watch the point. You got it? You got it? You got it, Devin? You got it? You got it? Devin doesn't got it. You got to come help me clean this up. Short play. But see, he knows right where this thing's going. That little point, he knows what the intention is of the Niners, what they're trying to do on this play. But Devin just wasn't on it as fast as he was. No, that's not Devin. I take that back, Devin. I'm sorry. That was not you. That was Love. It's Love's fault. Love's fault. Oh, wait. Let me get you on. I want to show you this one as well. A guy that's actually can show you some help in this coverage too, which I dig a bit. And I got to cut this one up into two cuts because I can only show sometimes so long of these cuts. So I've cut this one up into two cuts, and I just want to show you on this one how cool this play is, where he's helping out Woolen, and he doesn't really have to help out Woolen. This is just he picks it up and decides to. Number one, the instincts to just slide like he does into this over route is not natural for linebackers. They don't just easily pick this up seamlessly without looking at the guy, and he just doesn't have to look at him even. But it's an over route here on Woolen. And look at that. He's right in on it. Jumps back to take it away. Look at Caleb's eyes. Caleb wants to go. Caleb double clutches this ball. He wants to go here the whole way. And look at the depth KJ gets. Or Tyrice Knight. Keep going, KJ. Tyrese, look at how much depth he gets here. He's on this route the whole way. There's no surprising. Is this because it's Waldron's offense? Maybe. Maybe it's a little bit. But look at his drop takes him right to where he needs to go. He's watching the eyes of Caleb, feeling where the route's going to go. Just a good feel out there, natural. Just a natural with it. And then watch this at the end here. This is the second part of the clip I couldn't show you. Is I want you to watch Woolen here, because Woolen goes and gives him a little bit of props after the play where he comes right back to him. Woolen's going to spin right back around and look over at Tyrese to give him a little bit of love there. Like, thank you, man. Look, they're about to high five. It cuts off before I can show you, but they're about to high five there because Woolen knows he just did him right. He's like, thank you. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. I got you. I got you. A little bit of, sometimes we get some 2-for-1, like I said, in his game. That really does stand out, where you get to see him do one thing and then come down and do a second thing. And just part of the cool aspects of him as a player here. Got him marked right there. So he initially here is going to pick up the tight end. The running back leaks out into the flat. He recognizes he's wide open, comes up, makes the play in space. Not a fancy play here, but just remove the tight end read, come back up and rally up on the shorter pass. Sometimes these easy completions are going to be there on defenses. There's not a lot you can kind of do about it. I mentioned strength. How about that? Does he got a little bit of power, you think, to his game? Juwan Jennings ain't some tiny little slot receiver here. He grabs his jersey and just pulls him down. One-armed. He's just like a rubber band snapping there, isn't it? And gets the back of that jersey and snap. Almost wedgied him. About wedging him, but that's a strong man. That's pulling down a grown-ass man with one arm by his shirt. Not even his jersey, his undershirt. Some of the snaps that got me super hyped up with him last year were the cuts of Tyrice Knight against wide receivers, where he's matched up pure with a wide receiver. Not kinda. Not, well, sort of the guy came into his zone, but he was purely, rawly matched up with a wide receiver, and he locked the guy up. I know that doesn't seem like that makes a lot of sense. This is where your eyes are going to look here on the screen. But it's what you got to see from him over and over again. Not over and over, but there's a good collection of snaps when you had these moments. I mean, I showed you guys on the snap count. He had snap counts in the slot. This is one of those snap counts would be considered in the slot. You're more playing slot than you are kind of linebacker here. And this is Michael Wilson he's doing this against. Outside wide receiver with quickness. And they're trying, and you're going to watch on a couple of these clips, they're trying to get him to stop his feet and then restart his feet. Because that's what you think you'd be able to attack with a guy that's 235 versus a guy that's 205. Is the guy that's 200 pounds, 195 is going to be much quicker getting in and out of those kind of breaks. But look, he's right there the whole way. Doesn't get stuffed in mud, gets his feet picked right back up, and he's all over him. Oh, that doesn't impress you, say. I'm not impressed. Well, how about if he takes on Amon St. Brown? Would that impress you? Would guarding Amon St. Brown out of the slot, would that get your attention? Here you go. Right side of the screen here against the Detroit Lions. Again, a stop and start kind of route here from Amon. Look at that. Look at that. This is your slot du jour. This is one of your quicker stop and start guys in the league. He knows just what he's trying to do to him. Look at that. Boom. No chance. That's a great rep for an outside linebacker on what maybe second, third best slot in the entire NFL right now. Depending on who you ask. You go, okay, that was pretty good. I guess that's all right. Yeah, I got one more for you here. How about a top, 6 pick last year? Top 5 pick last year? The best wide receiver supposedly in the class last season? How about that? Would that impress you? Would that get your attention? Again in the slot. Manned up. Marvin Harrison Jr. right across from him. There'd be linebackers in this sport with these kind of matchups where you'd see nothing but a little bit of a piss pool down around their feet in fear when they look at this kind of matchup. With him, doesn't bat an eye. Even makes a play on the ball. I mean, that's sensational. Does Marvin run a lazy-ass kind of route here? Yeah, kind of. Not a great route by Marvin. But impressive play by Tyrice Knight. And you really have no business covering these receivers at his size. He should not be able to make these kind of plays, even with a little bit of the lazy route. So the guy can cover. The guy's got good run defense. How about as a blitzer? Can you bring it into play with that? Does he bring anything to the table as a blitzer as well? Here, active blitzer with his eyes coming off the edge, realizing that this is actually a screen. There's a more of awareness here where he's being kind of sent on the blitz, but then realizes late. You're going to see him from the bottom, kind of right-hand side of the screen show up here. But you can see here, this is all well set up by the Cardinals. Play action coming back. Derek Hall, really good job of pressing things. But a nice job here by Tyrese to get his hand up there and realize what's happening. Here we got him blitzing up on Caleb, allowing the sack to go to Uchenna. So Uchenna gets the sack here, but this is really as much caused by the strong blitzing. Look at, he's a little bit off the ball here. He's not showing this blitz too late. Nice little bit of a disguise there. And the timing is perfect off the snap. Perfect. Just completely surprises Caleb the whole way. He doesn't think that guy's going at all. And you can see Caleb's looking right at him. So Caleb like, oh, crap. Oh, crap. You got to love the left tackle here. It's block one or the other, and he ends up blocking neither. This is one. If I was a coach in the coaching room with 75, I'd be so mad at him. I'd be like, pick a lane. Why are you driving down the center of the road? Just pick one. Give Caleb a chance. I guess this explains why Chicago's rebuilding their offensive line this offseason, huh? So pretty good blitzer. In addition to that, I showed this one already. Another one here, which is just this is a great little loop twist game here by Ernest Jones and Tyrese. You get a wide 9 look from the Seahawks defense. I love Mike Macdonald's scheme because you just get to see different fronts and different things after years of seeing the same front stacked the same way with the same alignments. Here you got a wide 9 San Francisco 49er style defense with a double A gap mug pressure, but not pure double A gap because you're going to have Tyrese just sitting on the A gap with then Jones behind his back right shoulder a little bit. So a bit of a modified mug pressure look here from them. And then you watch this twist. Everything widened out. Kyler thinks he's going to have a hole here to run up through. But we've seen with the instincts and just in-play awareness of Tyrice Knight that he's going to have a sense of what you're going to try to do. And he's right on it the whole way. Nice little blitz here from him. Gets the center there on skates. And that's a good center. That's Frollo. It's a good center there for the Cardinals. One of the better ones in the NFL. Feel a little bit of that power getting in there. Another one here where he's going to blitz. Force the throw a little early here. Just attack off the play action. Doesn't play the pitch. He's playing the quarterback the whole way. It's a great job by Brock Purdy here to find a way to stop his feet and just dump the ball at the feet of the receiver. But good job by Tyrese. I don't know if they coach him here to just ignore the run play all the way or if he's just doing it instinctually to not buy into it. But I love it when they do this in a lot of the play action kind of offenses in the league where you have these under center play action offenses like Niners that run it over and over and over again. I love it when when you just tell one of your defenders that I want you to just go after the quarterback. Ignore the play fake all the way. I just want you to go be ready to go smash the quarterback if he keeps the ball. That will be your role in this. Because there's so much of this that's got that play action. And with a quarterback in those moments like this, you leave them real vulnerable and susceptible. There's not a way to scramble around it if they're going to attack like that and really get after you. Here again, a little bit of a late blitz here. He is going to recognize that initially we get a defender back there, kind of almost get the sack on Goff. Goff able to really smartly spin out of it. But then he gets in there and attacks, recognizes what happens, gets in there and attacks, gets the hand up. It's completed. But good job of kind of recognizing that he can get back there and maybe kind of get a little bit of a late pressure off that spin around move there by Goff. It's good pressure there. Just can't seal the deal on that from the 56. I think that's Bowser. Nice little blitz there for him. So we got him good here as showing you a couple snaps, a lot of snaps as a run defender, a lot of snaps here as a blitzer, the hustle, the 2-for-1s, the be able to cover in space smartly on his coverage drops, to not get overwhelmed by the flood concepts, to even be able to handle wide receivers in coverage lined up out of the slot. And what a benefit that would be if we could do that in a semi-normal basis, if you could be running that out there. The one other spot of his game that really stood out to me last year that I wanted to show to you guys because it's so hard anymore to lay any big hits. The NFL has mandated and legislated all of these hits out of the game. They're protecting these players, smartly so. CT is a real thing. But there's still those rare players that can go out there and legally find their ways to be able to lay in those real nice hits to make you feel their presence. And one thing with Knight is he had a couple of really good hits last year. Like I said, I don't think that there was another player that you're going to find on this football team that had as many real legitimate big style hits as him this past year. He was really nice with that. So here you see him dropping back, coming up and hitting Christian Watson. The 2-for-1, initially taking the first route away, coming back up and grabbing the second route. Nice little lick here on Christian Watson. When he arrives, you're going backwards and you're going to feel him. You're going to feel that hit. How about here? Running back gets kind of twisted up in the hole. Kill shot. Got the target coming right up here.
Target neutralized.
Headshot.
Target right up there, and then he comes to the headshot.
Headshot.
We got nice little smack here as well. Drops back in coverage. Running back comes underneath, and he just sticks him. Again, not his first responsibility, but comes up and rallies and lays a nice little hit. You can't decleat guys like you used to, but you can still make them feel you. And he felt that. So smooth, isn't he? Same play, different angle here. Nice little stick. Last couple ones I want to show you. Getting against the Cardinals, same game there at Arizona. Sliding out, boom. I mean, you talk about laying a shot here in short spaces. Boom. Where's it at, KJ? Where's it at? Where's it at, Tyrese? Where's it at? You got him? You got him?
Enemy spotted.
Boom. He goes sideways. Ball carrier running full speed suddenly just goes sideways. Great hit. Last one here for you guys. And these were just for fun. This was the Christian Watson one I want to show, different angle. Can't quite feel it as well in this one. It almost looks kind of like he's not hitting him as hard. He hits him hard here. He definitely sticks him nice. And totally legal. Head out of the play, just put his shoulder in, hits him right in the midsection. So able to do it legally. Legally. So KJ Wright. Okay, I don't know why do I keep getting KJ Wright today. I got KJ Wright in the brain. Tyrice Knight, KJ Wright. It kind of has like a phonetic flow that's getting stuck in my brain for some reason. But this guy, whether I can say his name or not, had a great year, one of the better rookie years for an inside linebacker in Seahawks history. Let's just go beyond. It's been 20 years since we've seen a guy like Leroy Hill bring this kind of impact to that position. And now we get to see it once again. But he just go through all of Seahawks history. I don't think that you've had a guy that's kind of put this full kind of season together in the way he is. And I don't know really, I honestly believe this. I'm not really sure of where Tyrice Knight's upside is going to land. As a guy that can be that good this initial year, is this a guy that's going to be sitting up in 80, 85 with a PFF grade kind of as we go into the future? Is this a guy that can become one of the better will linebackers in the sport if he can continue to develop like he has this way? I mean, you think initially a rookie year like this happens that there's nothing but a step above than to take, a step forward to take into the next coming years. And we will see. I think a big part of what is going to help his game, and in doing some of the research for the show, when you're listening to him talk about Ernest Jones or Ernest Jones talk about Tyrice Knight, I don't think that you can undersell the connectivity that you had between these two, that there's a chemistry that has to happen between those two inside linebackers in the sport in this day and age, especially with the third linebacker off, especially with no more of the base packages where it's really those two guys as your only off-ball linebackers, and they've got to be working on a string. They've got to have that psychic connection to understand what each is doing. And another part that I like about it with Jones, a guy that's been a Super Bowl champion, a guy that's been in this league for a little bit of time and still a relatively young guy, is as Tyrese told him, there's a lot of times prior to the play that he's able to tell Tyrese where the play's going. And then you get this young player that's still trying to learn all of this stuff, but then able to get some cheat codes from the vet right next to him to help him even get even better. And so we're going to get that chemistry and continuity between those two guys that continues to go forward, his development, which continues to go forward. And as we look for this team and this defense to fully ascend to their death zone status, this is what it will take, is all of these collective parts coming together in this way and applying their own kind of impact on the game. And the defensive line, the secondary linebackers, that you're feeling it from all three levels. And with Knight and with Jones, you absolutely have two guys that can do their part in solidifying, and that can be two of the better inside linebackers in this sport playing together in that way. And we saw their impact the second you brought them together last year when you moved off of Dodson and Baker. The Knight today day-to-night kind of play that you saw from the position and what that brought to the defense. So this is a really good player, one that I personally missed on. I did not really see it as much with him at UTEP. I did put a little bit out there in my assessment of him, as it's hard that I don't have as much UTEP tape to go off of. So I was really operating off a very little bit of tape, but he's been such a pleasant surprise for your Seattle Seahawks. Maybe so far the best pick of last year's draft as it stands right now. There's still a lot of room for a couple of other guys like Byron Murphy to still come forward in that way. But that was a hell of a rookie year, and hopefully one that he can continue to build on in the future. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you like Knight's first year? Do you think he's got some star-level ability to his play and his upside? Or is he just going to be a really above-average kind of will linebacker, kind of fitting into kind of a form of KJ Wright? You know, it might give you an occasional Pro Bowl year, but just overall well above average. And if you have a defense with some other difference makers on it, you don't have to have difference makers across the board. You can have a few here and then have really well above average across the board and put all that together with a smart run defense, and that can be an elite defense. That can be a top 5 type defense. Absolutely, it can. But I'd love to hear from you guys on it. I appreciate you guys watching today. We're going to run this one pretty quickly here on this show, as I am going to be back at 5 o'clock today, Pacific Standard Time, as we're going to be doing the schedule release. I'm going to be live reacting to the schedule as it comes out with you guys. So we will be bouncing back here with another show today. I appreciate everybody watching. If you guys could for me, please do hit that like button, as it does help this channel grow. And you know what? I really, really do appreciate it as well, as it's helping us show up on that algorithm. It's helping people here subscribe to the channel and get to see the content and whatnot when you do smack onto that like button. Hawk Marsh, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you for doing that. JRD243, thank you for being a Hawks Nest member. Hawks Nest member will be doing the call-in shows, Sunday shows here sprinkled in throughout this off season. So we'll be continuing to get those membership benefits over to you guys very, very soon in that way. Rasul Douglas, yes or no? Brian asks. I'd be a yes on it. I like Rasul Douglas a little bit more than I like Shaquille Griffin, which is the other guy that they're sort of flirting with and bringing in. With Shaquille Griffin, I just feel like he's a guy that is not, he's like a little slightly below average as a tackler. He's got no ball skills whatsoever, really. And I just think he's kind of limited to what he brings, especially at his age at this point. I don't think Rasul Douglas is a lot better, but Douglas has got familiarity with his defense. And I just think he's got a little bit more he brings as a player, a little bit more of a ruggedness to him as a player that I think fits better to this defense than Shaquille Griffin does. But we do need to get a cornerback, Brian. That's really the bottom line brass tacks of it, is that we're a little bit lean right now. And so we got to do something. We got to do something. Pete Carroll interview was fun, man. I got to get through all of it. Dogs, I've seen a couple of clips on it, but I got to watch the rest of it on that one and see what's up with that, because it looked like he was kind of dropping some nuggets and sort of gave you the impression of the mutual parting of ways thing was a little bit more real in the way that he was speaking about the way that kind of breakup, so to speak, kind of happened. But we'll see. We'll see on that with it. Douglas over Job. I'd like at least to have the competition there. Whereas Job right now, you're sort of giving him the starting spot unless Nehemiah Pritchett or Zay Alexander are able to overtake him. And so I'd much rather get a guy that's a little more legitimate out beside him there to kind of push him a little bit in that way. And let's see if, let the best man win, get a little bit more improved out there. I wouldn't even be against maybe looking at what's going on with the Ramsey situation and what that's going to entail as well, especially if it means you can keep the Rams from getting him. So see how it goes. Yeah, Addicted, there's a Pete Carroll interview with 710 that came out this morning and looks like it's pretty interesting. So I'd go check it out. It looked like it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. You ever say if he's half a KJ Wright, I'll be happy. Oh yeah. And I think he will at least be that, as this kid's arrow and his upside with Tyrice Knight is doing nothing but pointing upwards. So you're returning all of your defensive starters here this offseason onto this team. And this is where we're hoping a big part of this team, along with the reinforcements that they brought in, where you got Lawrence brought in, you got Nick Imawari out there to be a big piece. And we're going to be talking a little bit about, his fit here into the stuff moving forward on that. So, if you only have improved upon that defense this year, we should only hope for it to be taking more steps forward in that way. And they're going to have to kind of carry the load at times on this team. Team's going to run the ball. I think that the passing attack's going to have some slight limitations to it. And it's going to be more upon really the defense, special teams, running game, really carrying the day for us, which is fine. You can go out there and become a really good team leaning on those aspects. You just have to make sure they're strong if you're going to lean on them. You can't lean on weakness. It's got to be a strength. So hopefully that defense comes forward. Tyrice Knight with it. turns in a nice Pro Bowl year his second season, and just continues on ascending. But no matter what, we got ourselves a hell of a player, and you don't tend to find inside linebackers like that this good into the fourth round, into day 3 of the NFL draft. So hopefully it keeps moving forward, and Jones can help continuing to guide him above bit by bit in that development. But I love to see where Tyrice Knight's going, and he is a really fun player to watch on NFL Sundays. He's all over the place. He hits, he covers, he can cover wide receivers. He's a great tackler. He gets off blocks like nobody's business. What's not to like? I thank you guys for watching today. We'll be back at 5 o'clock today with a schedule release reaction show. Please do, if you can, hit that like button. But until then, please don't ever forget, don't you do it. Got ourselves a damn fine Will linebacker here. That should get you hyped. So don't you forget, go Hawks.